The most beautiful thing I learned about teaching squirting, and this is one technique for the camera, so if this is the clearest, is the rocking of this motion.
Oh yeah.
There's this like false belief that is bigger is always better. So I'm not saying size don't matter. I'm just saying the fit matters more. So those guys with the Ferrari with all the money, their girl is cheating with me because I provide the better sex. So you could have the money and like really do the attraction game.
Hello and welcome to the very first ever video episode of Modern Dating with Mr. King. Of course, I'm him. Now listen, usually this happens on Shoreditch Radio Live. So I want to take a moment to just say thank you to each of you for taking the time out your day to tune in to the very first episode of this show. Now, I've got a very special guest here today. This is a man I've been dying to meet. His work transformed my sex life. He's an author, he's a sex educator, he's an entrepreneur, he is the creator of the Beyond Satisfied Sex Education program. Now, GQ magazine calls this man the greatest sex hacker ever, and Playboy magazine calls him the personal trainer for pussy. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Kenneth Play in the building. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. I'm still so embarrassed every time people read that out loud.
Did I do you justice just now?
Yes. With that radio voice, perfect.
Yeah. How's London treating you, man, on this?
This is a very naughty town, and I've been loving it. Like, there's a big community, kind of like back home in New York, but just with an English accent, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to dive right in from the beginning,
Yeah.
right? I did mention just now, GQ calls you the greatest sex hacker ever.
Yeah.
Playboy magazine says he's the personal trainer for pussy.
Yeah.
But what I love about your journey is that that's not where it started.
No.
You said it, and the way you say it is that you were an insecure Asian with an average size cock, destined to be an underdog.
Yeah.
How does a man go from that guy to GQ?
Well, I kind of have to take you back to how insecure I was. When I moved from Hong Kong to the US when I was 11, the first time I watched any hardcore porn was a gangbang scene. Now, I want you to imagine like impressionable young man, right? Curious about sexuality, and the first thing he see is like 12 guys with giant porn star cock banging 2 girls. So it left such an impression on me because I go like, oh, I don't have one of those. Yeah. And you have to go like, there's not just one guy, there's like 12 of them, like with the exact same package. So in my mind at that time, I was like, if I don't have one of those, I'm not enough. And that like is a deep, deep insecurity for a lot of men. Yeah. Just like a lot of people dealing with like they're too short or their height or they don't have enough money. This is like an area that you cannot change. So there's like a deep insecurity and a shame that go with it. Mm. Now, given how naughty and like sexually motivated I am, I could have totally turned into an incel, right? Because you could be angry and insecure and that way. And for the man who's out there struggling with this, I'm saying it with a compassionate eye, right? Like, I know what it's like to feel that way. In high school, I remember there was like finally this beautiful girl was like, we're making out and it got hot and heavy and I was touching her. And then she reached down for my pants. I was so scared. I just ran out the room without saying shit. Wow. And the next day I came back and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I act like nothing happened, but I was so deeply, deeply embarrassed by that. So you asked me the question, how did that insecurity turn into this? And it was a very random event that after a really hard breakup, I told this girl, I don't know if monogamy is right for me. And most of my sex life at that time was still like, I thought I could change my life by doing the external thing. So I got like a 6-figure income, get a 6-pack instead.
Oh, yeah.
But with all of that, it did not change the internal world. So I was dating, but always felt like, I don't know if I was enough or was insecure. And then I dated this one girl that told me about a sex party. I was like, no way this exists. I thought that was like bullshit, it's porn. So she invited me to this party. I showed up. And I never taken a Adderall in my whole life before, but I have a bunch of work to finish. Right. So I decided to take it, and I didn't know how the effect on my cock. So she set up a threesome, and I was like, oh my God, this is finally happening. And then as I'm about to get into this threesome, I realized my cock is not working. And I was like, this is not usually what I deal with. So I'm like very like surprised. I was like turned on by the situation, but I didn't know what's going on. So I was really embarrassed. Yeah. Couldn't get it up with these 2 beautiful women. I went to the bathroom, like stare myself at the mirror and like smacking my own cock and go like, come on, this is your chance, Yeah. But nothing. And then, but at that particular moment, I don't know what came across my mind. I was like, shit, this is like the worst nightmare a man could like imagine.
Yeah.
Like embarrassment is concerned, and there were people watching this happen, and like it's just a combo of everything. So I remember like, if I survive this moment,
Yeah.
like I don't see how this could get worse. I remember walking back out, and my girlfriend at the time was really nice about it. Like, it happens to some guys. It's your first party, so don't worry about it. So I walked back out to the party, and the host who checked us in just had the most beautiful breasts. Like, they were perky, big, and gorgeous, and I love boobs. And I remember walking up to her and go like, I'm not sure what their etiquette is. I just want to tell you, your breast is absolutely beautiful. And she's like, oh, honey. And she just grabbed my head and then motorboat me between her beautiful breasts. And in that moment, I go like, you know what? I'm never going to cock block myself. Wow. That was the big transformation, because most of the torture that I experienced happened in my mind, not other people, because I was so shy. I was always like refusing to get rejected or feeling bad, or even if people approve of me, I still rejected myself. And that moment really changed that conversation. And from that moment on, besides being so curious about that whole community, I just dove so deeply into sexuality and learned every technique there's to learn about it. And that really changed my life. And then today, the
personal trainer.
Yeah, personal trainer for pussy, or the sex hacker bit is, I learned what really worked. But the biggest gift from all of this wasn't like, because in the beginning you could think about it, my mindset was like, well, if I don't have what it takes, maybe I could overcompensate by learning. Right. And that's still from that ingrained insecurity. And the greatest gift from all of this journey was I finally come full circle and realize I've always been enough. And that gift, like feeling that you're enough, that part is priceless. All the sex things is great, but that I think is more of an internal journey that I went through than this external transformation.
That's the beautiful part of your journey that I personally connect to the most. I think what's interesting is I want to ask, at what point did the insecurity transform from that into a thirst for mastery, where you started to just compile techniques? When did the insecurity subside completely?
That's a really great question. I think it happened slowly. It wasn't at first. But it's one of those things that when you, well, to take you back for a second, I was a personal trainer first, right? Because that's how I got the six pack and had the six-figure income. So I was really nerdy about, not like most people don't want to be educated in fitness or nutrition. They really just want the results. So they're not looking for information. They're looking for transformation. Right. So when I was a personal trainer, I was really dedicated on getting result. And there is science to this thing. Like, humans have figured out how to get fit. It's not like, it is still challenging. It's not easy for people to adapt, but there's good science behind it. So when I sought to approach sexuality, I really dug into the research or learn all the different technique. But then I gotten, because I was part of the sex party community, I gotten to have a lot more sex than the average folks, like a lot more. And I realized that it just like food or like music, everybody have a slight different preference on what they like or don't like. But then my skill, and also with my own cock, I go like, I could satisfy so many people. And I start to see how many people prefer, like, it's not just a preference of, we're not just our body part, right? Like, you could like appreciate my body. Maybe my cock is a really good fit for that particular pussy. Okay. But ultimately, their experience matters a lot more. So there's this like false belief that is bigger is always better. So I'm not saying size don't matter. I'm just saying the fit matters more. So some people will like this and some people will like that. But what everybody like, or what everybody appreciate, is having a really great experience altogether. So when I start to see that I became the guy people booty call, that's when it really lands. Really landed for me.
When you became the man people booty call.
Yeah, and go like, oh, they came back for not like for the date, they came back for the sex. And also, I think the interesting thing about having the privilege and the fortune, like very fortunate experience to sleep with more people, you really see, based statistically, when you are preferring, when you are not. Okay. Do you know what I mean? So when people are hung up on their cock size, I think if you're anywhere in their 4.5 to 6.5 range, you are fit to most people. Right. And then 7 inches above is 2 to 3% of the entire population. So
really,
yeah. So it's surprising what men think of like what penis size looks like versus going to a sex party when you see 200 people all the time.
Yeah,
like the statistic is really true.
You are completely transforming men's lives right now by letting them know the ballpark that generally fits.
Yeah,
but you talked about that. It's, of course, some people do prefer larger sizes, some people smaller sizes.
Yeah.
But what you talked about there is that bigger isn't necessarily always better, which is a big myth that we have in the world. So talk to me about genital compatibility, because you said, you might fit better with some people.
Yeah, I also have, like, I was so nerdy, I also study vagina sizes. Most people don't talk about it. So there's like, it's like a shoe to your foot, right? Like I have to fit in order for it to be good. And there's a difference between, there's the tools. So you could think of, like, if you watch a movie or play a video game, the visual and the sound could be amazing, but the game could be, or the movie could be boring as fuck because the plot is terrible.
Right.
So I think the physical fit and the experience itself is two parts that has to come together. So you could have the most beautiful girl that you ever slept with, and she could be really boring in bed and terrible at everything else. So I think the combination really matters. So not just the hardware, but the software matter as well. And also people just have different preferences. But I think most people prefer to have a lot of orgasms. So if you could give people a lot of different orgasm with every part of you, that also like raises their preference like towards you. Yeah.
We live in a society that cares a lot about body count.
Yeah.
So roughly how many people has it taken for you to become this master right now? How many people would you say you've slept with or pleasured?
Probably in the 4-digit. And
Jesus.
I know it sounds crazy, but I want to give it perspective. It's not like I go on a date every day in my life. But there was a period of time when I was doing a lot of parties. So it could be like a lot of people at one time in one particular night. And I've been doing it for a really long time, like over 12 years. So perspective on that. Also, on top of that, I don't sleep with my client the same way, but I work this retreat called Back to the Body, where we do something with hands-on experience with them. So I'm not counting body count as always like my penis enter somebody, but majority is that. But also have did a lot of client work where I would do 4 90-minute sessions on people for probably 5 to 7 years, pretty consistently, like 10 retreat a year. So I have just a lot of experience working with different people, dealing with their unique desire, to their trauma, to their whatever relationship struggle. So I think the hands-on experience gave me a lot more perspective than just someone who read research and tell you about it.
I've got you. Yeah. Interestingly, in my journey, prior to becoming a dating coach, I actually went on an enormous amount of dates. Yeah. Right. And interestingly, that was around the similar time when I had discovered your work. Yeah. So interestingly enough, it was almost like putting in my 10,000 hours by virtue of the dating experiences I was having. And I had a variety of experiences that led to thorough practice. So if there was an average man right now watching this who is looking at where you are right now and thinking to himself, I wish I could get to a place where I feel like I'm unconsciously competent at sexual arts, roughly how many people would it take, or does it even matter? Is it quantity of partners, or is it just quality of experiences? I
think the quantity for me, it just allows me to be a better educator. I don't think is always about... Like having more experience definitely help, because a lot of sexual preference happens in discovery. Like you stumble upon it. It's not like, that one moment when you're a kid and all of a sudden you're watching a movie or commercial and then you felt some tingle in your pants. That kind of discovery happens to a lot of people. And I think that throughout your life, when you have more lovers, you just get to see, like, it's like going to more restaurants. You go like, oh, I like this kind of food, this texture. Yeah. But as far as being competent in sex, most people just basically use this quote quite a bit. Don't use your ex-girlfriend's map to navigate your new girlfriend's neighborhood.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
So most people go like they believe whatever worked for the last person will work for the next person because they don't have that reference. They don't have that framework. So when you don't have the skills and tools to really learn a unique, like, person's unique, like, preferences, and you only, like, if you're a hammer, you will look at every situation like a nail.
Yeah.
So I do think, but that's why in my course I study, like basically I learn all the different technique and bring you the 20% that produce like 80% of the result. Here's the most useful one. And it's not just based on my like person anecdotal evidence.
Yeah.
Is there's a lot of research data and go like this techniques work for like 78% of the population. So try that one first. Like some people could have an orgasm touching their earlobe, but you're not going to start with that one, you know? so it's a process of elimination too.
Amazing. Yeah. Talk to me about your personal life, if you don't mind. What's your current relationship status?
Oh, so I'm married.
Yeah.
Well, not legally in the traditional sense, but my wife has two husbands. So I have a brother husband. Okay. We're in a poly V, so most people don't understand. So I am like asexual and aromantic with him. We share a wife.
Okay.
And now we have a daughter together, and it's their biological child, but I consider her as my daughter as well.
For sure. Yeah. Congratulations on becoming a dad.
Thank you. Yeah.
My ancestors are men who were polygynous, so one man married to multiple women. So further back in the bloodline, some of them married to up to 6 women. Yeah. So it's rather unique in this particular confine. How do you make that work for you, this particular brand of poly?
I think most people think it's crazy because I think masculinity, most people think of it like sexual exclusivity, right? Yeah. Like if you should only fuck me and I could fuck all the other people. Right. But what I have learned, and I think ladies would really agree with me on this, women, if they're getting good sex, they're quite insatiable. I don't think one man, I don't care who you are, you could be freaking like super Olympic athlete, you're not going to satisfy 6 women all the time by yourself. I call that bullshit, okay? So you go leave a bunch of women dissatisfied. Okay. And from what I learned, life is a co-op game. So when I have a brother husband, I think her needs are always being met. And also I get to live my slutty life. I have a girlfriend as well, that I have a long-term girlfriend that I really care for. Nice. They both, all of us date and have sex with other people. But
I love this.
But it allows me, because my wife wants to be a mother, and Geronimo, my brother husband, wants to be a dad yesterday. Okay. I wasn't in it for the children experience, right? Right. But now I totally fall in love with my daughter. We were, I was very invested in that whole journey. Yeah. And then watching my watching her giving birth, like all 3 of us together. Yeah. And then held her for the first month and took care of her, really allowed me to have a taste of fatherhood without the full-time commitment that they have. Yeah. So I get grandparents' privilege, but also I'm very excited to teach my daughter how to speak Chinese, how to cook, things in that nature. And it's been sort of a life hack, to have what I want, but with the support system. And I'm not saying this is for everybody. Of course. Right? Like different people might have different needs. So some monogamy is great for some people, and non-monogamy is a good fit. But I think the biggest difference or this distinction between the two systems. So we're just talking about monogamy versus non-monogamy. Yeah. Monogamy, you made an agreement to shield your partner from feeling the pain of jealousy by showing no desire for other. Right. And that's the pain that you chose to deal with, right? Okay. In non-monogamy is that you choose to deal with the pain of jealousy so your partner could have some freedom. So either side, you have to pay a price. Right. I just choose to pay the price of dealing with jealousy. And fortunately, I don't have sexual jealousy. The only time that I ever felt jealous in the relationship is the fact that I see their life being more compatible, as in their lifestyle choices and family, etc. Yeah. And then originally I was in a hierarchical relationship, meaning that Karen is my primary. And when Geronimo came into our lives, I realized if they want to have a kid, that's not going to fly. Okay. So I renegotiate that we're all equal in our relationship structure. Yeah. But I rather deal with that struggle to have the life I have now than to have all the other no, you're mine and you're not allowed to have a baby, and it's just not the way I want to create my life. So that's how I manage this crazy life now.
There's a purity to you that I really admire, as in it's pure authenticity. It's this is who I am. This is what the truth is for me. Can we work something out together? Yeah. Are there any challenges with navigating this? Do you know what I mean?
No, tons. Mostly, it looks really great on Instagram, and I'm not saying that. With every committed adult relationship, there is struggle, there's learning, there's 3 people to figure out. Right. There's a lot of that, but I do love the fact that we share growth mindset together. that we're willing to navigate different challenges. Like my wife went to many rounds of IVF to have this baby. It was really tough on all of us, right? Like this kid's car is the price of a Ferrari in their expenses.
Yeah.
But I really feel for the commitment they have to create this child, and then navigating that from like setting up to the baby room, who's going to babysit. And funny thing is my mom is really involved. Like she loves it. Like, you know, and not blood, you know, not her blood related grandchild, but she really treat Apple like her own granddaughter. So there's a lot of ups and downs, trade-off between, you know, different types of relationship. But I don't think I would get to be a digital nomad right now if I don't have this relationship set up and able to reconfigure my relationship with my wife to the point that now I get to be her fuckboy again. You know, she's flying to Germany to come hang out with me. Like she's stuck at home doing all the mommy stuff. Yeah. So I could extract her for a week and then we get to have some good time too. So there's a benefit to her life in the ways that, you know, she could have the family time here and have some adventure with me. And then I could always go back home and be more invested in supporting them. So we're just a little bit flexible in our approach to it.
Fantastic. And do you ever want to have kids of your own?
I don't think so. It's not high on. I mean, she's been trying to get me to have a baby for a long time. Yeah. And I love her to pieces, but I don't think that is my like organic desire. But having my daughter now is chef's kiss. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. What's interesting about it is I've heard you talk about this before, this interesting dynamic between dogs and cats, like low frequency, high intensity, and vice versa. So you're more like a cat.
I'm more like a cat, yeah.
Right. So this is how you're able to manage the whole being her fuckboy again.
Yeah.
And he's more like a dog. So the whole sort of.
Yeah, he's very loving and very consistent, and they prefer to have more time together. And I find myself that there's a better, it's actually not a turn on for me for relationship to merge the domestic aspect of it, like the cohabitation or living together. Mm-hmm. That actually makes their dating part worse for me. Okay. And I think that my wife would say the same thing. So us having distance and space makes the relationship a lot harder for me.
Yeah.
And for her as well. So I think that's a trade-off when you like, you know, when you're in your own house, everything is integrated to like closeness and family, then you don't have the space to create desire and the fire.
Yeah. So you need space for it to get electric.
Personally, I think and Esther Perel talk a lot about that you know, like the space allow us to crave again, I think is quite important. So we need that contrast. So, you know, when you're like doom scrolling, you're just being fed all the time, it's like it starts to lose its taste, right? Yeah. So when you're overfed all the time, you don't get to enjoy your food. So sometimes taking like, I just did a 3-day sardine fast. It made food taste so much better.
Of course.
So sometimes like a little gap is good.
Amazing. Listen, I want to talk to you about the orgasm gap.
Yeah.
Because I think this is a big deal in the world. Not enough people talk about it, even though it's world news. Apparently, roughly 95% of men finish all the time. Yeah. Roughly 65% of women. In casual dynamics, 86% of men, 35% of women. Why does the orgasm gap exist, in your opinion?
Well, I think, first of all, it might not be people's fault because we haven't been taught like, we were all born hungry, but not everyone knows how to cook. And we don't spend enough time teaching people how to cook. Like there's 8 million different ways to make a delicious egg. And there's also many ways to fuck up an egg, right? That's disgusting. Same ingredient, but you have to have the technical skills. So it's different when you're making a fry egg versus a ramen egg. Yeah. There's different science to it. Mm-hmm. And also, I think one of the biggest misconception is if I get to teach your listener the most important thing to understand about female anatomy, because one of the things I like talking about is if you could see the clitoris is no different than your own cock, then you will appreciate that organ the same way. So her clitoris is like the head of your penis, right? So imagine most straight dude, I take you on a one night stand, you never touch your prostate ever, right? And if you touch your cock, I will slap your hand. And I'm only going to peg you, and I expect you to have an orgasm. Do you think you could have an orgasm?
Probably not.
Maybe less than 35%.
Right, yeah.
Or men could do that. So if you look at female anatomy, if her clitoris is not being stimulated in some way, how do you expect her to have orgasm? So it's not that we think that penetrative sex. Sorry. Most people think only P to V sex is the way that should lead her to orgasm. But that just, unfortunately, the anatomy doesn't work that way. So if she's not getting enough stimulation through that, her clitoris is not being stimulated, then it's just not taking her to the finish line because you're just not touching the right spot.
Right.
So when men start to see her clitoris is the same way as your own organ, then you go like, just spend some time on it. Or the easiest one, if you have nothing, have some lube. Lube is our friend. And the second thing is ask her to touch her own clit while you're fucking her. And everybody is happy most of the time.
Right.
So it's just small things like that. But I think men get really insecure when they see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think that in sexuality, a lot of women, maybe because of society's scripts, that perhaps women preserve male ego rather than communicating honestly about what actually works for them?
I mean, it's hard for women out there because some guys, their egos is very fragile.
Okay.
So if they say anything and it becomes a whole thing, they could never let go, right? Because it triggers the same conversation we had in the beginning about feeling enough.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think we are not taught how to communicate effectively. Also, for women out there, sometimes they don't know their body well enough. So let's just say if you masturbate only one way, but when you have partner sex is completely different. You haven't really trained your body to orgasm that way. So same thing for men. Men are having harder time having orgasm or keeping their erection because the way they masturbate is so different than partner sex.
Right.
That their brain haven't learned like bridge the two.
Okay.
So I think the orgasm gap is a combination of people using porn. I'm not against porn, but use that as sex education. And on top of it, people don't know their body, or their masturbation habit has changed so much with the modern world, with access to porn and the way and the frequency of masturbation. So we have conditioned our body for more solo play than partner play. So there'd be some reconditioning that needs to happen. But at the same time, if you're listening out there, the bar is set so low for female satisfaction. So if you just spend like a week or even 10 minutes watching a video and learn one skill, you are so much far ahead than your average brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know. I've been really thinking a lot about this topic. If you're not her best ever, you're on borrowed time, because in some way we always, it's not trying to increase more male competition, but we always have sort of like who we rank as our best experience ever, or how good something is.
Right.
So that investment on being really good in bed, I haven't seen any of my students regret having that skill.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your journey like when you learned yeah.
Kenneth, man, how much time do we have? Lord Jesus.
Yeah.
So when I came across your work, I was in a relationship at the time. And essentially we then went balls to the wall in terms of me practicing your stuff. So I would watch, just like you advise in the videos, you watch a 10-minute video and then you can go out there and implement it and try it.
Yeah.
And I had the safety container of a relationship. So it was me and my lady. I watched stuff, tried on her, and just kept learning. And what inevitably happened is I mastered her body.
Yeah.
Right. So inevitably when we broke up, while we were together, there were times when I'd FaceTime her and her friends would make a comment, and I would know that they've been hearing about our sex.
Yeah.
So she was having that good a time that all her friends were hearing about it. And inevitably, when we broke up, I was then unleashed onto the world. And then now, but this time armed with all these skills, a variety of compasses through which I can calibrate and learn a new woman's body like that.
Yeah.
So I had a bunch of one-night stands, and then every one-night stand didn't stay a one-night stand. It just kept happening with everybody. At some point, I had a rotation of 6 women. I would see a new woman each day, and just kept cycling that until I came into other long-term relationships. But the point is, your work exposed me to just the power of sexual competency. That when a man took the time to actually care about women's pleasure, and they actually did it not something to just gratify your ego, but genuinely because you care about your partner having as good a time as you. As you said, I realized women do get insatiable. If you're fucking a woman correctly, she can't stop doing it.
Yeah.
And at one point, some of them I thought my sex drive was crazy. I had no idea women's sex drive could be higher than mine, because it seemed like they were insatiable.
Yeah.
And some of you will eventually see some of the receipts of what women have said when they've had sexual experiences with me. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen some of that when I promote the program. But your work genuinely changed my life. I mean it when I say that, like with all sincerity. And it's the reason why I advocate for men to get onto genuine, deliberate, pleasure-based sex education so they can actually know what they're doing. Because in our society, unfortunately, I don't know what it's like in America. Here in the UK, sex ed is just mechanics.
Yeah.
This is how you wear a condom. This is where the penis goes. And none of it is about making sure the woman is actually having a great time, right? And inevitably in some of these sexual experiences, some of the women would tell me that most guys don't care. So for example, I remember having an experience where I went down on a woman for half an hour. She had 3 orgasms just from the oral.
Yeah.
This is before my penis even touched her.
Yeah.
And I remember at the end of it in the afterglow, through your work again, learning some aftercare stuff. So I was holding her and I was feeding her clementines while we were talking.
Aww.
And she said, you know, guys don't care. She said, if every guy was like you, I'd probably fuck a lot more. Do you know what I mean? And I just remember thinking to myself, holy shit. Like if I could package your program and give it to every man, I genuinely would. Do you know what I mean? So I agree. There is a massive ROI on taking the time to do the study. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, you know, sometimes the manosphere, my course is so different than like, it's not a pickup artist tone at all to the viewer. It's about caring about mutual satisfaction. So if you care about her satisfaction and then she's mind blown, you actually get the best sex you possibly could have with someone. Because if they're not satisfied and they don't like the experience, they wouldn't put in the same work.
Yeah.
You know, after you gave that your lover 3 orgasms, she probably want to give you everything that she got in return. So I think men sometimes are robbing themselves from the best sex they could have because their partner is not in that state of mind.
Right.
Like you have, like if a woman is consistently having mind-blowing sex with you, the type of blowjob you will get is another level. So is on one end is, oh, you're not like the reciprocity is very strong with women from my personal experience.
That's right. Yeah.
And the other side is that men is like, oh, I only need to look, believe me, the 666 is important, right? You think if you have a 6-inch cock, you have a 6-pack, and you have a 6-figure income, things will go easy for you. But those guys with the Ferrari, with all the money, their girl is cheating with me because I provide the better sex. So you could have the money and like really do the attraction game.
That's right.
Right. Have your Rolex or whatever. And I'm not saying that is not important. I think it's important for everyone to develop themselves, being financially independent, master their fitness. All those things are really important.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, if you are in the bedroom, right, and you cannot deliver, she's probably going to be outsourcing.
For sure.
Right? If you're in the monogamy train.
Yeah.
Or, but there's one very, very interesting phenomenon. If you're really good in bed, and let's just say you're not like the richest guy possible, you're working on your career, you be the one that she crave, not because of your money or your status, it's because you're really good in bed. So don't underestimate that. Like dating value is so high for women when you're that good in bed,
right?
Because it's so scarce in the actual marketplace.
Yeah. One of the things I actually found was really surprising is when women I would sleep with would get their friends to come fuck me.
You know, you get referrals.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
One of the receipts that you guys will see is this: a lady sent me a text saying, "If anybody wants sex, I'm sending them your number."
Yeah.
It was I couldn't believe that could happen.
Yeah.
Honestly, it blew my mind. But I want you to touch on something really important because you talked about things like pornography with people using that as education. And you're famously known for having said that learning to fuck from watching porn is like learning to drive watching Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. As in the mechanics, physics doesn't work that way in reality. Could you expand on that, please?
Well, that quote definitely came from my sex educator community about Fast and Furious because the physics don't quite work that way. But the problem is when people are shooting porn, they're shooting for the camera and shooting for the viewer's arousal. They're not trying to teach you something, right? And also, humans learn by watching, right? They learn by like mimicking someone. It's not so much like, let me look at a chart and a diagram and theory. We are, we monkey see, monkey do kind of like, this is how people learn. Same thing with the medical community. When they teach someone how to do it, they like show you and learn. So one of the biggest problem is that when people are trying to mimic porn only, they are trying to see, like, it's only for the camera. It might not feel good for the receiver. So a lot of times when I watch porn, they're performing for the camera. They're not focused on the female satisfaction. And then a lot of the female performer are performing. So they're acting like WWE reaction, you know, it's like professional wrestling.
Yeah.
So that's why in my course, you could see I don't cut out the awkward moment. Like I actually talk about it when things don't work right. Right. For people to have a real perspective what it's actually like when you are with someone.
Fantastic. Yeah. So what defines sex hacking, which is essentially what you're known for? Well,
I have a challenging relationship with that term now because most people don't understand it, right? When you think sex hacking. But I want most people to think of it like this. Throughout human history, we have different sex hack from different era. So Japan have shibari, right? Like bondage art. There is the Victorian era where the English created the vibrator, which is probably the #1 sex hack that gave more female orgasm than any other technology or other sex hack.
Yeah.
There's Kama Sutra from India. I just came back from Thailand training with Master Mantak Chia on the Taoist sexual art.
Wow.
And then the French, Europe, but French probably give them more credit on like creating their classic BDSM leather, latex kind of vibe or DS dynamics. So there's a lot of great art throughout human history on how to make sex more delicious, more satisfying.
Right.
And if you combo that with modern science, you could think of BDSM really highlight psychological arousal. They could bring someone into the moment and really pay attention instead of having scatterbrain. Tantra is really good at creating presencing when you feel the high level of intimacy and connectedness, right? The modern science is also really good at creating new tools and new toys that stimulate those nerves ending that we really like to feel. Right. So if you can combine all those different sex hacks from different era, but on my course, I basically pick out the best one or the easiest one to execute because I don't think most people want to spend that much time doing it. So I go like, if you're just willing to do maybe like one college semester worth of work, you really become like the 0.1% of lovers.
Yeah.
That like most women get referral sex or brag about you because they can't help it.
Right.
Like a girl cannot stop telling their girlfriend if they have like new mind-blowing sex, a new type of orgasm.
Yeah.
Where they came so hard they felt like they meet their maker. Right.
Yeah.
It's really so I think it's really powerful.
Yeah. So when you say, for example, don't use your ex-girlfriend's map to try and navigate your new girlfriend's neighborhood.
Yeah.
If the average man watching this right now was to say, well, how do I discover a map to a new woman's neighborhood so I don't bring some old stuff to try and do? What would you say to him in terms of how to discover a new woman's neighborhood?
I created a whole process on my course where you go do trial and error, and like I call it pleasure mapping. So it's no different than remember where you park your car. You go do a trial error process and you go like what she responds to.
Right.
And the way that I like to do it is more like card counting kind of thing, right? When you're trying to stack the art like in your favor. So I usually start with the most popular technique. Like this is how you first touch your clit to identify like where is the most sensitive, maybe using your mouth and your finger. And you just always paying attention to her erotic cue. Like is she responding to the sensation, this touch? Well, first of all, you have to get her really turned on first because
of course,
if the car is not on, you ain't moving anywhere, right? So once you establish consent and she's really turned on, and then it's go through a trial and error on what works, what doesn't work, which angle works for her, which penetration, like get her moving. Is it a combo of stimulating her clitoris and her internal structure at the same time? So if you go in doing the same thing it did for the last girlfriend, it most likely, it could work for the new person, but unlikely. So you have to come in with fresh mind and really learn her body. But it's not that hard. Like, I mean, as you could experience yourself, once you master it, you go like, you just kind of intuitively start picking it up.
Yeah. What I find brilliant about it, how it works in my mind, is that you have a syllabus of abstract tools that live in your mind.
Yeah.
And then you can literally grab each new partner's body. And in essence, you have a few things that you're testing for and calibrating based on. And you sort of just figure out what the bodily and vocal sort of cues are for what is working. And then the next thing is to just be consistent with those things in each different department until the pleasure wave peaks at orgasm. So I find that remarkable in that particular regard. But I want to talk about sex techniques.
Yeah.
Very specific things. Squirting, right? So everybody is fascinated with the idea. So I would like you to give us a brief overview. Is squirt fluid pee, or is it some other liquid? Just so the viewers are clear.
Well, the splash show that you see on porn definitely comes from the bladder. But here's the interesting thing. Obviously, your bladder could gather urine. That's its primary function.
Yeah.
But there's a new study basically saying that why the squirting happened to, like, as a sexual phenomenon happened to some women. And most people have heard that you should pee after sex to prevent UTI. So it could be a mid-sex cleansing function. But the bladder gets filled up with a lot of liquid, just like the whole area once you get fully engorged, right? So from the clitoris to the bladder. So let's just say you just pee, you empty your bladder completely, you start being sexually stimulated. Your bladder will fill back up rapidly with mostly water,
Right.
in order to get that engorgement in that area to increase sexual pleasure and potentially to cleanse right after,
Right.
to clear out. But there's two types of liquid. One comes from equivalent to the female prostate. That's a urethral sponge from the skin gland. That's the milky white substance, but that's about 1 teaspoon.
Okay.
The big water splashing show is from the bladder. But I have a people who are really into squirting. I want to make sure that it's like urine free as much as possible.
Right.
I wrote a really extensive blog on my website, kennethplay.com, on the crystal clear protocol. So what you do is you drink a lot of water before you engage in sex. You go pee once, drink a lot of water again, pee again the second time, then go have sex. You're pretty much guaranteed to much easier to squirt because you have enough water in your body, and also you cleanse out any waste product out of that system. Just like people kind of do something before anal. It's the same exact play. So people just don't understand that is dual use. You could use it for sexual pleasure. Now, for people who are into water sport, maybe they want the waste product. So you never know what people actually desire.
Yeah.
But that's why it's really important to understand the science.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of women be way more comfortable trying something new if you know how to handle it,
Right.
just like anal sex. So
That's right.
when it comes to squirting. But the most beautiful thing I learned about teaching squirting, and this is one technique for the camera, so if this is the clitoris, is the rocking of this motion
Oh yeah.
and my palm rubbing her clit at the same time. And it's the up and down. I'm not flexing my finger. I'm going like this really rapidly after all the foreplay, warm up, etc.
Yeah.
What most men don't realize is that if you like jabbing your finger in and out, what you see in porn,
Finger blasting.
finger blasting, is not pleasurable for most women.
Right.
Those internal nerves respond to pressure better. But when I used to do it with my finger, my forearm will die eventually. I don't care how strong you are.
Yeah.
So learning how to use my lats and my whole body to do that motion instead of just using my finger. But the beauty of it is that they're pressure sensitive, those nerves. Yeah. So if you just hit the pressure just right, you might unlock a new sensation she never had before, because most of the time she would not get that much vigorous pressure on those nerves.
Yeah.
And there is a threshold. They go, their mouth open up and they respond to it. So for some women, that is extremely intense, and it could lead to very powerful orgasms. So that's why I actually like teaching that technique for the potential to discover a new sensation that might rock her world.
Yeah, because the signature move it looks a bit like a row in the gym.
Yeah. It's just a bent over row, but like,
Yeah.
and because of my personal training background, I'm always thinking about biomechanics to do this stuff. Because look, brothers, it's really hard to focus on just the clitoris, right? And it's like a size of like this part of my pinky. So you have to develop the sensitivity to stay on the clitoris.
Right.
And most guys just like rub around the area without developing the tactile sensation. So I'm always thinking about what is the most biomechanically like efficient way to do the touching consistently.
Yeah.
Because if you're uncomfortable and you're in some awkward position, you gotta die out, you gotta gas out before you get to the finish line. So
Can I tell you a bit of a deep story?
Yeah.
There was a lady I was sleeping with, and so she's never orgasmed from P and V sex. And as we were having sex, I have these 2 vibrators that live under my pillows.
Yeah.
Just so it's easy access when I need it. And I had one on her clit while we were having sex in missionary. Her foot was on my chest. And she squirted for the first time. And then afterwards, she was able to have orgasms with just my penis.
Yeah.
But what I observed was that the squirting orgasm for her was an emotional experience.
Yes.
Her first reaction was, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry."
Yeah.
At which point I just slowed the strokes down, held her, and actually just said, "That was beautiful." And then she actually ended up crying, and we just talked about it for a little bit. And I think you have a story that's quite similar.
Yeah.
Why do you think squirting can be such an emotional release for a lot of women?
You know, a lot of women, and this is from like stories that I heard over and over again from like clients that I work with to people in my community, that imagine if you're a woman out there, like first time you lose you're having sex with someone, or having sex with yourself, you're not penetrating yourself, because we still have this, like, we should reserve our virginity to the, the perfect person.
Yeah.
So when most women start masturbating, they just touch themselves externally. The first time they would have penetrative sex, if they never have that experience before, having their like G spot or G area being stimulated, it feels like they have to pee a little bit because those nerves is very similar in that position. So they might go like, "Oh my God, I don't want to pee in my partner." So they might subconsciously develop this clinching thing that they do, not knowing why they do it, because they don't want to feel embarrassed. So when you feel embarrassed, right, then you don't feel your own sensation, because you're like trying to navigate, like managing your own experience.
Yeah.
So when you are the first lover, like such as yourself, creating this experience where they could let go, they feel relaxed, they feel that you care for their pleasure, they start to trust their own body to do what the body wants to do instead of trying to regulate it, then their body is free to have very powerful orgasm. And that release is also quite emotional, because they're no longer managing and just feeling safe with you. Right. And that's where those tears come. So it's more than just squirting. Yeah. It's a relief that she could just listen to her own body and experience the pleasure that is possible. Yeah. And I really just think it's amazing that you are creating those experiences for your partner, because that also teach them, look, I think that sometimes that we love to take the credit and we are the amazing guy, but for women, when they learn that what their body is capable of, it's a gift that you give to her for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there was I don't want to mention, I almost mentioned her name out here just on instinct. A lady from China who I used to date a good while back. And when she went to China, she sent me a text message saying, "I miss the sexual skills you used to teach me. It made me feel like I was a flower blooming in your bed." Yeah. And it just, for a moment, and of course, you know, we're men and we go through the world where it expects us to be stoic and all this stuff. But for a moment, I just remember thinking to myself, holy shit, like, through a sexual experience, someone had an enriching time with me that months later they were still thinking about it and they were still touched by the experience of feeling like, as a lady, I learned something about my body with this man. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Just as a guy, as you say, it adds a level of confidence that is sincere, because it's not born out of this sort of place where you're like, "Oh, I'm just that guy." Do you know what I mean? But it just kind of feels like, no, you know what? When I'm with a partner, I can deliver something that most men couldn't. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
And it's very meaningful to them and meaningful to you. And that's why, you know, it drives me crazy to see their sort of new culture. I think they just rage baiting. So they're like, "Fuck women's pleasure, I don't care." Like there is that tone.
Such bullshit,
and
man.
That is infuriating for me. Yeah. And my secret plan to world peace is that I don't know what most men have truly experienced. When you're with a bunch of really satisfied women, they're well loved and well fucked. Yeah, they treat you so well, and I think that's where all the guys from the manosphere is trying to have that actual experience when they're treated well. But that is something that has to come from a genuine place of reciprocity. Yeah, you have to earn that. Yeah, like they're not like free to give it to you because you haven't done shit. But when you are able to treat someone really well that way, the reciprocity is really amazing.
I feel you. One of the things I often say to the ladies, and I say the principle is the same for men, the bitterness that we see online where people are shitting on each other, I think when we see men shitting on women, they don't realize that they are advertising the fact that they struggle with women. Because men who are happy in their dynamics with women are not online telling women they're terrible. And similarly, women who are happy in their dynamics with men aren't online talking about how terrible men are. So I kind of think the people who do that don't realize that they're broadcasting their lack of skill at navigating the opposite sex, which I think is really interesting. But talk to me about the importance of soft skills. You know, because there is the hard skills where you can learn technique, you can learn exactly different ways to penetrate, all of those things. But then there's the things that breed comfort, the things that allow safety, so the woman can relax and trust her body. How important is that?
I think having emotional intelligence is extremely important, and also understanding people's erotic mind. One thing that I don't think men understand about female sexuality is most erotica, like from smut, from books that like a dark romance book that women read, is mostly written by women for women. And those are the filthiest. You think Pornhub is filthy? Read some of the books. But what's really fascinating lately is I basically map out most of the technique on my course. So there's only so many more new things I could like find out in the world about like different way to touch. So I went on the other side. I'm really focused on soft skills really. And I wrote a blog about understanding women's erotic mind. Like how do you become the main character in her dark romance, in her mind. That is way more powerful than just physical technique. When you are mastering the soft skill, how do you create a sense of world building, right? It's basically all the Dungeon and Dragon skill, but like use it for erotic purposes. Right. So if you understand a woman's mind, you don't even need to touch her. It could be a text. It could be the way you speak to her. You could turn her on so much more than like, let's finally get to the bedroom, then do the thing. So I do highly recommend men start listening or reading dark romance to understand female mind. Right. And once you master that skill, that is dangerous.
Yeah.
Because they just find you like the most fascinating, interesting, addictive like show that they want to binge on Netflix. If you could tap into that part.
Yeah. So fellas, read dark romances, read smut. It's some good shit.
You know what I mean? You will have a new appreciation for it. And listening from like, basically it's a dramatization because most women don't want to fuck you because you're boring or you're not giving her any pleasure. Yeah. If you learn how not to be boring in bed, it's not just a physical thing, it's the psychological game to understand her deepest fantasy. And instead of being so abstract, I want to give like some real world like perspective. And this is, let's just say, a typical story. I love smart, beautiful, powerful women in real life. And I also love them being submissive in bed. And that's not always a correlation, but let's just say that a decent amount has that particular preference. Right. But it's really hard for the people who is really powerful and in charge. My wife is an ER doctor. My girlfriend is a game designer, creating a sex game. I love brains, and she's also a professor teaching game design at NYU. When they have that life to manage in their everyday life, for some, the last thing they want to be is in charge in the bedroom and making decisions. Sure. So you have to able to access the type of dominance that female submission gravitate towards. And it's not like is for you to treat her like shit at that time. It's to understand the dynamic. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it's arousing for those dark fantasy to be dark. Yeah. But if you learn to tap into that, to be the type of masculine dominant energy that make her feel safe, to be naughty. Yeah. Because some of the fantasy is quite dark. So you have to create this duality of being a firm masculine energy when she feels safe, and then to play with that part of her that she finds entertaining but a little taboo. That is such a good balance of the two.
I love that.
When it comes to soft skill.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Talk to me about oral. Every Sunday I do a questionnaire for my audience to ask questions. It's called Ask Mr. King. Someone asked me, why are men reluctant to do oral for women? Now, of course, as we know, some of us love it, right? So why do you think some men are?
I think it's also a cultural thing. You know, for some culture, it's beneath them to, for you to do that act. So I think there's a stigma. For some men feel like they're subservient if they're like giving oral. It changes the context, which I think is complete bullshit, but like to each his own, right? Like I'm not telling people what they should think. Yeah. However, oral sex is one of those more reliable technique to help a lady cross the finish line, right? Because you could mimic the same type of softness and consistency, and you still have your hands free. So you could both stimulate her externally and internally in such a way that could blow her mind. is no different than you receiving the best sloppy blowjob of your life. If you and that shit is addictive when it's done right, right?
Yeah.
So imagine that you could reciprocate the same type of satisfaction and pleasure. And also, like, oral sex is not just lick, lick, lick. If you get to take away anything, it's consistency. So learn to feel the sensation of her clit locating on your tongue, and don't miss the spot, because it's very annoying. Imagine someone is touching you randomly it feels very good, and all of a sudden they touch your earlobe and then change back. It's very distracting and annoying. So one oral sex tip, just stay very consistent and make sure you locate the clitoris and stay in contact. And once you find the way that she responds, it's not about doing 17,000 different moves. Like Bruce Lee have this saying is that I fear the man who practiced the same kick 1,000 times than a man who practiced 1,000 kick.
That's right.
Right? So focus on, once you locked in, you find that thing that worked, just stay doing exactly the same shit. And then the last tip is, don't listen to your dick clock. Listen to her clit clock. Like, your broken clock could be right twice a day, okay? But the problem is that you don't know for sure when she finished or not. Right. So if you're willing to learn, try a couple different techniques until you go like, she respond to this one, stay with it, and have her push your head away. Right. Then you're probably like way above the average norm.
Yeah, like when she gets to the refractory
period. Yeah, when she's like, when she's done. Yeah. But try to not read into that. I think that's something that I learned lately, is just like keep going until she's like done. Yeah. She will let you know.
I feel you. Yeah. I love that. 1,000 kicks practiced, one kick 1,000 times as opposed to 10,000.
One man who practices 1,000 kick, because they don't master anything. Yeah. But the consistency of the basics. So I want men to also know that it's not about fancy technique. This is something that I get really annoyed about the fitness industry. Look, a good fitness program does not look sexy. It's meat and potato. It's doing the same shit over and over again. But if you're on Instagram, you have to stand on a balancing ball doing a one-arm dumbbell thing. That is not good exercise selection. Yeah. So when it comes to eroticism and sex technique, like, just master the basics. If you're really good at the basics, you're really good. And it's not that hard. It's not rocket science. So like, put in the time, but it is the basic. Yeah. Done right, consistently. That's what creates the masters.
Amazing. Talk us through the clit clock. Yeah. Where you know, just like the clock face, with the head of the clitoral head, just so men have a bit of a reference point when the next time they're up close to it.
I love playing this thing. Is in my course too, called the clit clock game. So imagine if you're looking at the camera this way, this is 12 o'clock, and so this is the clock face, and you basically ask her, when you start moving around the clock face at 12 o'clock, does that feel good? Because what you're trying to identify is you keep moving along 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, all the way around each part, and you notice what she responds to the most, and she will let you know. And the reason is, when we look at anatomy diagram, it's confusing because we've been telling people here's the most sensitive spot. It's individualized, and what makes each woman slightly different is literally how the nerve ending lies in that particular genital. So we could see our faces are different, our body is slightly different, the variation. Mm-hmm. So each nerve ending literally lays a little bit different on every clitoris, on every genital. Yeah. So your job is to identify. Maybe for some people, she responds to 4 o'clock like crazy, but nothing on 9 o'clock. And I'm talking a significant difference because the nerves are literally not there. So if you look at different phones, right, from an Android to Apple, there's a button, but just slightly at a different spot. So you have to find her button on her phone and know where to press it and remember where the button is until you have like tactile memory. Because when you pick up your phone, do you have to look for the power button anymore? No, because you memorized it. So imagine every new genital is like a new phone. Find the power button.
Incredible. Yeah. Talk us through the backdoor, because obviously this is a coveted one. Yeah. Some women love it. Some women believe it hurts. Some people are terrified of it. People are curious about it. What are your thoughts on anal?
I love it when my student asks me, how do I get her to do anal? And my answer always is be really good at every fucking other things first. Like, if you're not good at the basic, why would someone trust you with their butt, right? If you can't even give her an orgasm, how are you going to ask her for anal?
Yeah.
Second thing is give her a couple warm-up orgasm first.
Okay.
So it's not the first act.
Yeah.
And the first time you try, and I have free blogs on my website as well that you could read pretty extensively on how, from warm-up to how to try. But I would say that never pressure someone for penetrative, meaning you fucking her ass. That's the first thing that she should try anally. Because that creates a lot of pressure. And then she feels less in control because now you're just like using her butthole as a masturbation sleeve, not a turn on for her, right?
Right.
Well, to some, depending on what the kink.
Okay.
But the first thing is I go like, let's just try with a finger as as a start. If you could learn how to put your finger in just one finger effectively, and then use that finger in combination to something else that she prefer. Maybe she really like oral sex and you have one finger in her butt and you're able to give her orgasm with that combo. What do you think she's more likely to have anal sex with you after that experience? Because she have associate that it's possible to have another part of her body stimulated that's a little bit different, but that also is pleasurable and orgasmic.
Right.
So from one finger to two finger. And sometime I intentionally, if you are playing the long game, intentionally, if she said, I put my finger in, I put two finger in, she's like really ready, I would even step back on that first time and go like, I want to fuck your ass next time. I really want you to focus on that. If you're willing to show patience and investment, then you're more likely to more consistent anal on a later time. So I think being really patient and also treating her ass like you would imagine as the same as yours. Would you be so relaxing if the person is terrible in bed?
Yeah.
Would you go like, I gotta want you to peg me? That's not happening. So you just have to relate to your partner the same way that you relate to yourself.
Yeah. One of the things I love what you were saying about, and I would love for you to dig into it a bit more. You said if men had experienced prostate orgasms, they would have a bit more empathy for women in terms of what it feels like to be penetrated.
Yeah.
Do you actually think every man needs to experience some degree of penetration first to know, or is there a way around that? Because I don't know if every man is up everybody's street.
I think, I mean, obviously people associate that with like, oh, if you enjoy any butt stuff, it makes you gay. I think the homophobia definitely is in a lot of straight guys' mind.
Okay.
And I am so disappointingly straight, and sometimes I'm frustrated. I wish I could go both way. It's just the world is way more abundant on that side, right? And when people look at me and my brother husband, they go like, oh, I wonder. But I'm like the least hetero defending person. Now, when it comes to learning how your prostate works, is that I want you to imagine there is another set of nerve that is very different than penile orgasm.
Right.
And it requires you to really relax, be receptive, and trusting your body. That's what penetrative sex really feels like for the person who's being penetrated. And the orgasm quality is completely different. So I do think that you should explore your own prostate so you could relate to a woman a lot better and you understand what it actually requires for someone to let go and trust. Also, if you're a curious person and you're a straight male, you unlikely going to have the experience of a multiple orgasm, and the prostate is very reliable for that multiple orgasm experience. Okay. And one of my favorite hack that I really like is using the Enjoy toy, which is a metal hook looking stainless steel toy. Use a smaller end, but if you could learn to masturbate, and this is a two-part, I think your audience would really love this. And you have to kind of feel it in your own body to learn it for your partner. So let's just say you are watching your favorite porn, whatever turns you on, and you're stroking your cock, and you're using that toy to stimulate your prostate. You will feel, when you're really turned on, you will feel that spot give you some new pleasure that you haven't experienced. So if you use your cock to kind of edge yourself, like bring up your arousal, all the way to almost in the place of no return, but you stop your penile stimulation and you just continue to focus on your prostate, you might tip you over for your first prostate orgasm. Right. And while your prostate is having an orgasm, you stroke your penis immediately before the prolactin hits your brain. Yeah. We're talking about 15 to 30 seconds. You will have your first experience having back-to-back 2 orgasms in your own body for the first time. And then you will know, oh, those 2 nerves are separate. So when you learn that in your own body, the story you mentioned earlier by the lover learning how to have more orgasm after that unlock. What it does is that if she could learn that it's possible, just like we're learning from our own body that we could able to have internal orgasm. It becomes a new reference point that the brain know that this is possible.
Right.
So if you want to train, if your partner is curious about how to have more internal orgasm more easily, it's the same way. So you would edge her clit, or she could edge herself all the way to the finish line, and then just finish with the penetration or that sensation of internal sensation. Once it gets tipped over, the brain go like, oh, that is possible. Then she just have new paths. So most people, I think, would still prefer to be a blended, meaning both are stimulated.
Okay.
Just like, but like some gay men bottom don't even care about their penis anymore. Just just from the back door. Some would always prefer both, and some gay men are penetration only. So men's preference is in the same range. Right? So it's just possibility. But if you learn that through your body, you could teach a lot of your partner how to have more access to internal orgasm more easily.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I have a gay friend called Luke, and he had said to me at the time, he said, King, have you ever had a prostate orgasm? I said, no, I haven't. He said, you should try it with your girlfriend. It's tremblingly good. And he said, you'd like tremble and your eyes would roll back. And I just remember thinking to myself, I don't know if that's quite for me yet. You know what I mean? But I can appreciate it. So it's interesting hearing you talk about it from this particular perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also a nerd, so I want to see what the human body could do. And I think of it like, being in the fitness industry a really long time, like your body could run on carbohydrate and it could run on fat.
Right.
And there's two different metabolism, and most people never experience what it's like to only burn fat as a fuel source.
Right.
It might not be your preference for the rest of your life, but if you know that metabolism flexibility that we could have, then you have more choices to your dieting like skill. So I think when you don't know about that part of your body, it's not just relating to your partner, but it also, you still might have a much stronger preference to just using your penis, but not knowing, you might miss something.
I feel you.
That you don't know is possible. Yeah.
Here's an interesting story, because I look back over, because I'm not anti backdoor play at all.
Yeah.
If I've had it with a lady before.
Yeah.
But in terms of myself, I haven't had anything penetrative, right? But what I find interesting is a lady who was a good fuck buddy of mine at the time was giving me a blowjob and worked her way to the balls and then worked her way to my gooch, and next thing I knew, her tongue was up my ass, right? Which was at the time my very first ever rim job.
Yeah.
And I had a bit of an internal conflict. I can't even, this is just being vulnerable and being very honest. I couldn't believe how much I loved it, right? Because I was just like, I didn't think my asshole could feel great in this particular context, but it did. And I just remember at the time, it was the beginning of a mental shift in terms of people's relationship with that, to where I would have conversations with my macho male friends and just be like, actually, your ass doesn't say nothing about you in terms of your exploration, but the reality is it is actually an erogenous zone. It's a feel-good spot. Do you know what I mean? But that was new for me.
Yeah.
You know?
I think a lot of men, including myself, I'm not speaking like, in the beginning I'm thinking, I don't want to enjoy this too much because that will change me. It doesn't. And believe me, I have tried everything in my life. It does not change you whatsoever from exposure.
Yeah.
And I would say still today, I would be like 85, 90% prefer no anal stimulation for me. Sometime in a blue moon, it might pop into my head. But preference does not change. Like you just get to see more option, but not necessarily change your preference forever. And also, if you are someone who really enjoy this, and then you never have the opportunity experience for your whole life, I think that's sad too. So being hetero defending is so exhausting. I think
of course a
lot of men have to deal with that sometime. You know?
But also within the framework of anal play between in heterosexual couples, both men and women have concerns around things like poo.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a fingering technique on how you discover if there is solids in the canal. Could you talk about that?
Yeah. So one of this called the windshield wiper. Yeah. So imagine this is the clitoris and cervix is right here. I gotta dip my finger underneath the cervix and swipe this way. And if I feel there is bumpy solid material, it's basically there is poop in the colon, and that is not anal ready. So it's a good test before anal sex.
Okay.
with a female body to test, and also allows me to check it.
Okay.
And also when it comes to like proper anal sex, there's so many good ways if you really worry about poop to take care of it.
Okay.
And to douche, to do all those things. And
Yeah.
I have a free blog too on my website that goes
Amazing.
like pretty comprehensive on how to do it.
Fantastic. We'll
Yeah.
link it to the viewers just so people have an idea of basic prep.
Yeah.
And also, if you pick up the Beyond Satisfied program, there is a full-on, there's like an anal shower and prep work prior to anal sex if that's something that you're also interested in.
I think your audience might really love this. That's
Yeah.
one of my favorite anal hack. Like, go take a shower with her. Wash her with soap and water because it's psychological, right? Like if you obviously you feel it before she feels clean, but she might be actually don't have anything in there, but still psychologically think like, ooh, I don't want to like be disgusting or whatever. So you go take a shower with her, and then after you wash it, lick it. If your face is already in it and you washed it, she will feel so much more confident about it. That's why this pre-anal shower together is such a good hack because it's psychological.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Talk to me about dating, the marketplace, your experiences of it in general. Why do you think dating is so hard right now?
I mean, I'm 44, and I feel the younger generation even have a much tougher time because they're so used to only online interaction. They no longer how to have conversation with people.
Yeah.
And dating apps are challenging because it is true for a lot of men that if you're not the top, 5% of guys, you're not going to get much attention on those dating apps. And then you feel so defeated because of you have to swipe 100 times. And obviously there's still an art form. You cannot be like, what's up? In your opening, because you have to have some game to learn how to talk to people. So I think the dating market is quite tough for a lot of young men out there. But I see a trend start to happen that in real world experience start to happen. Go to a community, learn how to play mahjong, because there's actually a bunch of mahjong club out there. Run CrossFit, running, any type of hobby. When you get to meet people, I think is a much easier way. And that's what I actually love about the London King community.
Yeah.
You guys have fabulous events. Shout out to Riot there. You guys are amazing.
Yeah.
I went to one of their parties. It's beautiful, meeting people in real life.
Of course,
rather than swiping.
You favor real life as opposed to the digital world.
I think both. For me, dating on Feel, FEELD.
Yes.
That app is pretty good when you're looking for more for a sexual adventurous attitude or sex positive attitude. But I do really encourage people to go out, because if your only interface with other humans is digital, you have to learn the analog, face-to-face kind of connection.
Yeah.
That I think is missing.
I also think this whole 666 that we seem to hear a lot of.
Yeah.
I think it's a social media construct. I don't think most normal women are going out into the real world and assessing men by, do you have all the 60s? Do you know what I mean? And I think there's a lot of that as well also at play. How much is that in America? How much of a big deal is that a thing?
I think it's quite sad because the narrative, the online narrative, is so curated, right? That you create, some of the podcasts will invite a certain type of woman to reinforce the stereotype.
Yeah. That
people only date this way. If you are not 6'4", you're useless.
Right.
All those narrative, because it sells, it creates, it sucks in attention, therefore they get pay.
Right.
I don't think the real world is quite like that, but it's definitely have that influence. So everybody have been sold a narrative that is true for a small percentage of people, but not for everybody. And it's so overly dramatized. But I do believe if you choose to be a decent human, no matter what the challenges is, if you're willing to get out there and not reject yourself, from the beginning of this conversation, that you approach other people with skill, kindness, and learn, make sure your consent game is really good, you're way more likely to, actually, because women get approached a lot less, if you have the type of charisma and skill to navigate that, much easier to place to win.
Yeah. And I also want to touch on condoms, safe sex. There are men who genuinely believe that it completely destroys pleasure. And of course, we know the function of condoms. Whereas, as I say, I coach a community of about 200 men every week.
Yeah.
And some of them also share very vulnerable stories about their sexual experiences. Some of them share is that they go completely soft the moment a condom is on. What are your thoughts on that, and ways in which men can mitigate that if safe sex is their preference?
I think this is my hypothesis, so not truth. But I would imagine, let's just say, if you're the first time you're having sex, right? And then you're like about to put a condom on, and then you get soft, and you go like, holy shit, now you're having anxiety to get your dick hard enough to put the condom on. That first initial couple experience will really turn you off in putting a condom because you associate the act with anxiety, and anxiety makes you lose your erection. So you have a like conditioning loop in your head that we like to say, the story we like to tell is that, oh, I just don't want to put on a condom because, look, I like doing it raw because it feels better. But sometimes I think men are challenged by those negative experiences, don't know how to deal with performance anxiety, with putting on condom, that they condition themselves that way.
Right.
And not learning. And I don't know, I mean, personally, I don't think the sensation is like that world apart.
Okay.
With or without a condom, but the anxiety of putting a condom on. I have a lot of text messages, people telling me about that. And most people don't know how to deal with performance anxiety when it comes to men. And I cover that in my course and my book. But you have to learn to, this is actually quite relatable for most men to learn. What women, like the narrative that you have in your head is what dictates what turn you on and turn you off. It's very contextual, what turn us on. So if you open a packet of condom and you're thinking, oh shit, I'm not gonna get hard, what do you think your dick would do, right? It gets soft and you're fighting it. So when her mind is somewhere else thinking about like, does my pussy taste good? Or whatever, do I look fat today? Or whatever, like going through her mind, she's not gonna be turned on because she's subscribing to the wrong channel in her head.
Yeah. So
what I teach people is that when you're having performance anxiety, if you want to get an erection, first, if you fight, right? If you persist, right? It will resist, right? It will stay. If you resist, it will persist. Right. So what you do is just, your dick is not hard because you're anxious and is doing the right things. You don't fight that. Yeah. And then you redirect your focus to what turns you on about the situation. Maybe you're really into her breast. Maybe you really love the way her hip look. Maybe you love the way her body smell, the way she feels. Soon as you start re-engage on what turns you on and allow yourself to enjoy it, your erection will come right back up.
Sure.
So, but if you don't know how to do that navigation and you're just in an anxiety loop, then it's terrible. Yeah.
Boys, you heard that from the personal trainer for pussy. You dig? So if you're having performance anxiety, those are some ideas for you. Ken, do you have any questions for me in relation to modern dating and some of the trials and tribulations and triumphs of it?
I would love to hear more about your community and what you have shared to the 200 men you coach about in their area of like sex skills and sex technique in their lives.
Yeah. The things, well, I've promoted your program is the first thing I'd share. But one of the things I'm particularly very happy about is I've been able to debunk the myth that bigger is better. Yeah. You know what I mean, among the boys. Because some of them are as young as 18. Yeah. And one of the things that personally I'm really proud of is some of them have come in and they've had baggage from all this manosphere stuff they've been watching. So they have these ideas of like, oh, my girl raised her voice at me the other day and I was stoic and I didn't talk to her. And I'm like, what is this unhealthy bullshit that you're taking in? Do you know what I mean? So I've helped them crack all of that stuff open, which I'm really happy about, and asking them to show more of the colors that are in the spectrum of them, rather than feeling like they have to be gray in one way. And then with sexuality, I've made them embrace communication, the idea of being willing to talk to women and being willing to take your time. Your cardinal rule about premature penetration is a massive no-no now with them. Do you know what I mean? Because naturally, especially when you're that young and you're having your very first few sexual experiences, you just want to dive in. Do you know what I mean? And giving them a whole framework and a syllabus of ways to begin making sure a woman's sexual experience is amazing. I can't wait till I have kids, man. Yeah. Because it makes me feel like, man, I can't wait till, if I have sons, I can't wait till they come and share that they're about to have their first sexual experiences, and I can break out an education that can give them a full idea of how to make sure whoever the young lady is can have a great time. Because that's what I was missing. Do you know what I mean? I lost my virginity and my education was porn at 16. Do you know what I mean? So it took a lot for me to learn what to really do. And because of what I've been able to give the boys in the community, I look forward to having kids as well. So your program, man, it's a massive push point for all things sexual arts and calibrating, because some of them struggle with things like escalation.
Yeah.
So maybe they go on the date goes amazing. They bring her back to the place or their home or her home, and they have no idea how to transition from we're having a conversation, sipping on some drinks, to the temperature's rising, so it's going towards sex. Or once the sex happens, how good is it going to be? Some of the youngsters, a 21-year-old talked about not getting it up, having 2 experiences where he couldn't get it up. And since then, even though he has an easy time getting dates, he gets scared to go on it because he's like, if it gets to the bedroom, I'm going to shit myself.
Yeah.
Right. So I told him, now I actually need to get you the program, because you need to watch some of this stuff, and you need to I've put him on meditation and a bunch of different things to help him gain a degree of control over his emotions and his thoughts, the noise.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't interfere with these things. You know what I mean? I always tell him, if me and you are together and we're talking, if I'm focused on you and you're focused on me, inevitably we're kind of going to protect each other, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm too busy absorbing everything you're giving me, and vice versa, that I don't have the time to spectate myself, because I'm too busy trying to make sure you're having a great time, right? And I always tell them, this is how you kind of want to approach it. Focus on what you enjoy about the woman, what in this context is turning you on. But if you're too concerned about, will my dick work, then you're here.
Yeah.
And the woman is outside of you, and then the whole erotic context is completely missing. So these are some of the things I've shared with some of the boys. I've had moments of finishing it and genuinely shedding a tear sometimes, and this is just me being dead vulnerable, is because sometimes you can't believe that you've been able to shift somebody's mindset on, maybe they've been watching YouTube and some heavy manosphere stuff.
Yeah.
It's warped how they view the world, and they've had a conversation with you and they've walked away from that feeling like, oh, so I can tell my girl how I'm feeling. And if I'm anxious about something in the sexual context, even being able to name the elephant in the room and just saying, you know what, maybe we shouldn't rush this because I'm a bit anxious right now. That kind of vulnerability being embraced is some of the things I'm most proud of about it. Do you know what I mean?
That's why I really love working with you, because I don't have that much experience working with like male only community. My community is pretty like female centric and female heavy. So it's really nice to see like men like yourself like helping other men and like creating the culture and environment for people to share and learn. So I really appreciate what you do.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I've got a quick fire set of questions for you, and I wanna. What's your favorite sex position and why?
Probably missionary. It sounds so boring, but
wow.
And
I was
have
not
a reason.
expecting to hear that from the.
I just think that's the easiest access to her clit. So like she could hold it, I could hold it, and especially with a pillow under her hip, you could like the way you could push your leg changes the angle so much easier. So maybe it's because I'm a nerd. I go like, that is the most functional, low effort. I could line everything up just right, but I could calibrate easily. So that's why it's my favorite position.
I've got you. What's your wildest sexual experience?
So many.
So many?
I have an interesting one. Not the wildest. I was in Hawaii, and this girl drove me back to the black beach or black sand community, which is not regulated by the government. It looks like soon as you drive in there, it's like Walking Dead, like large gay people like hovering around a barrel of fire, and like just like Mad Max vibe all together. And then I remember looking at that phone. I never met her before. My phone has like 4% battery. It's in the middle of nowhere in Hawaii. It's like, where the fuck I'm gonna die here? And then she drove me back into her area where she built her own little house and like sort of living this off the grid life. But what was so fascinating when I actually got to talk to her, she told me, you know, I am a very slutty person, but I don't want to interact with the real world. And she graduated from the University of Hawaii, and she makes just like little plants nursery and sell it in the street. And anyway, that moment I thought I'm going to die turned out to be such a genuine, beautiful connection about like sex. But what I learned from her, which is really remarkable, I don't know, it was the craziest sexual experience, how little that we need to be happy.
Right.
Like if people get to choose to live their own authentic life the way they want it is a really beautiful thing. So since then, I have actually shifted a lot of my values, go like really learn what makes me happy instead of following what society is telling us, what will make us happy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most embarrassing sexual experience?
Probably that threesome that changed my life. I was like, get up.
Yeah. What's one move that always works?
No move always work. I think that is the
That's
truth.
remarkable.
Yeah.
Okay. Lube, yay or nay?
As much as you bring it with you, like use a laughable amount. Like there's no downside. Lube turned most things into a sex toy. So
I feel you.
Yeah.
And also give the men who have a reluctance to toys, give them one piece of advice.
it's labor saving device, for God's sake. Like imagine you have a manual screwdriver and you have a screw gun. Which one do you want to use? Like, I mean, for the purists out there, please, if you love the labor, go do it. But I just look at tools like it's helping me with the labor. Like I don't want to do this really fast while I'm trying to fuck. I'm saving on motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tools is a yeah.
Just like the reason that you ride a car,
Yeah.
You could walk.
Yeah. Kenneth, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. Where can they find you?
They could find me at kennethplay.com, and please check out your website and your affiliate link. And I love to support his community and other people that you have helped transform their lives. So I appreciate you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time out to watch this debut episode. You've been tapped into Modern Dating with Mr. King. I will see you in the next one. Peace.